Hello, dear folks. My dear audiences, welcome to the show. My name is Jack Xiao on the East-West Show with lots of proud about this job, and also under this umbrella of G&E TV. We got a chance to touch every corner of life, every corner of a society that is involved with our day-to-day life. As you quite noticed, for the last week and a half, we put some efforts to the issue of the militarization of law enforcement, local law enforcement. Namely, the federal government has an intention to equip them, to arm them with military supplies, military weapons, such as a tank, such as armor trucks, such as hand grenades, such as even bayonets, right? So I do let the news layer pass without paying lots of attention. But the concept is that the consideration, the fear, the analysis, the job is huge that left over for us to go into to see what is the right answer to it. Something is wrong, something never had been wrong, or things are going to be more and more wrong. I don't know. To get an answer though, get to the point, I have invited my good friend, a big icon of California, as far as the Chinese Americans are concerned, because you are one of the supreme. Mr. Ben Lee, attorney at law of Southern California, and also he himself has a huge background of being a show host himself, right? So welcome to my show.
Oh, it's an honor to be on your show, Jack.
All right.
And you are the media icons. It's always an honor to be on
I wish
your
I
show.
could.
Yes.
I could be. Yes, like I said in the lead line, that the news has already passed, right? The momentum of the news moment has already passed, but things are still going, right?
Yeah,
so,
Jack, I think this is a good time actually for you to make an issue and then to talk about it at this juncture, and while the news is passed. This is the time to look deeper into the issues, so we can rationalize it more.
Yes,
about what's happening. Yeah, this is a really good time.
Exactly. I have been reaching to different people from different angles to see how everybody from every corner of life would respond to this whole issue, though, including attorneys. So you're one of the attorneys that I tend my request to ask for your help, right? So the mind of mine at this moment is that I'm completely lost. Years ago, for example, 30 years ago when I first came, I had a different feeling, totally different feeling towards police officers from what I have today, right? So things are changed quite a bit, and now that with the change on top, we're putting some military equipment to it, so that really scares me. So do you as a lawyer find any legal ground for us Americans to see that to happen?
Well, that's a very good question. From the legal ground, you know, if you look at the basics, the police, okay, should be the peacekeeping force, okay, to protect the community.
I see.
Okay, so they are not the soldiers in the battlefield. Okay, so these concepts, I share what you're saying. That right now it seems like the local police right now, they get so militarized, and this is the right trend. I don't think so.
Oh yeah, talking about trend. The trend is
no,
this
is not. What's the legal ground for it? I really don't see it. Because this is they betray the mission.
I see.
It's a police force. Police force is to keep the peace of the community, to protect the people from the drugs, from any violence. These are all like to keep the peace. That's the goal of the police force.
All right. Okay.
They're not the soldiers. It seems like what happened in Ferguson. It's different. If you look at them, and many of the police, their equipments are even more loaded. They're more loaded than even the soldiers in the battlefield. This is not right.
Sure. All right. Okay.
This is not right.
So
I'm really, I personally myself is really bothered by this.
Sure.
And from an attorney's ground, I don't think this is you can find any basis for that.
So
but if you rationalize it, we understand right now, legally, we know ever since the 9/11 incidents, we have a national national security
safety
mission.
security issue,
This sometimes, the overpower the certain we say the constitutional rights of the individual. Well, for anti-terrorism, we understand that, but do not overstep into this direction.
Sure.
So you use that as an excuse to kill all the constitutional rights of the citizens. Then that's not right.
To get to my audience, because I received quite a few emails from them asking me if I can put together a show or shows to talk about it, because they get confused, right? Once again, my audiences, those group of my audiences tend to be the kind of people who care about what's going on, what will happen. Unlike those who just do their day-to-day job or day-to-day in and out thing without caring, they do care. For those of us, the fellow Americans who do care, we owe them an answer. The answer now is from an attorney, both as attorney and a friend of Southern California, to give that, number one, we can almost assure to say that the trend is not healthy, isn't it?
No, definitely not.
Right.
But we need to, we need to look at the how it come into today's situation. We have to look at the history.
And secondly, by law, we can't find legal ground to support it, can we?
I didn't see any. I think it's overdone.
Sure.
If you look at it, we can analyze it, step by step.
Okay, very good. And my next question is automatic goes to the fact that some argument saying that we do not put our money to buy equipment for that kind of augmentation. We just use leftovers of the Iraq wars or whatever wars to equip them while they're sitting in a warehouse doing nothing. But to me, a gun is a gun, a grenade is grenade, right? No matter how much you paid for. So how do you analyze that?
Well, I think from my personal point of view, you have to keep the balance, okay?
All right.
Constitutional rights of the citizens and that's a national security issue. How to balance these two? It's always a task. But look at the history. How we come into this this kind of the weapons gets into the hands of the police. It goes all the way back to the I believe 1997. I believe it was the 1033 program from the Department of Defense.
I see.
So they launched that because they have a lot of weapons. At that time, there's a huge decommission of the military bases and a lot of leftovers by the Army.
I see.
And navies, armies, Air Force. So what are they going to do? So they think, oh, well, right now, maybe the local police, they could use some of it.
Yeah.
Therefore, that's why they give a lot, to the police, and from there on, and ever since the 9/11 incidents, then they have another. At that time, their reason is to the anti-drugs.
All right.
At the very beginning.
Okay, sure.
And after 9/11, they have another reason, which is the anti-terrorism. And quite a few incidents they happened in the U.S. They regard them as the terrorist activities.
Sure.
Therefore, so they got another reason, so that they did more. So ever since then, they have the anti-drug war, the terrorism war. All these, and the local police, they got advantage by getting more and more military weapons. But the thing is, we say it a lot. In the legal field, we need to balance. We say the security issue, national security issue, and the constitutional rights. Sometimes we're willing to sacrifice a little bit of our constitutional rights, like a right to privacy, so that the government can seize those terrorists, can find the information. But the thing, if you're overstepping into that, then that's not right.
I am a big fan of our military. I'm a big fan of our law enforcement. I'm even a big fan of the anti-terrorism war, though. Should I be called, I'm the one to serve. And I will not hesitate if it costs me my life. I said that 100 times already.
Right.
But the thing is that there's always a distinction, right? You say you have surplus, you have leftovers. How about I say I have a leftover gasket, right? Let me send it to you. It's a gift, right? Can we do that? Why not? We can, because there is always a limit, right? Always a limit.
Well, and also the other thing is, how are you going to use it?
How are they going to use it?
Use it for? Yeah.
So if I send you, I have a surplus of the casket, I send people. Do I get a slam on the face or what? Or I get a punch on the nose, of course, probably, right? So something wrong. It's not about you have leftover or you have an emission or a demission, whatever. And it's and a grenade is grenade.
True.
A bayonet is bayonet. A tank is a tank. Armored truck is armored truck, right?
Right.
So the nature there describes the mind. I'm thinking the point is that I kept wondering, why would our government, being big or small, on the left or on the right, I don't care. I never say our government is too big or never say our government is too small. For a government to have created such a concept, do you think that's where I'm digging something is wrong, please?
Well, I think, big government or small government, we think, it's, well, we always want a small government. From the history of our country, we feel like a small government and big people, big community. That should be the foundation, not a big government. And small community, small people. That's not right. Our system is always going for a small government, but the big society.
I don't know how they are related.
This is the one, but then you talk about whether what's your question is talking whether our government has something wrong with it. I think it's I think it's not rationalized the trend. And giving the army's surplus to the police. That's I believe that they went too far. I think that I think in the future the Congress what they need to do is to I believe that what they need to do they need to erect certain laws and regulations. To make sure certain things can go to the police, certain things cannot.
I have no evidence, hard evidence to say how they are related, but the fact is that every time, and I notice, our problems are getting bigger, the same time our government gets bigger. So for example, like yesterday in downtown Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Council has made a decision to increase the hourly basic salary to $15.37 to hotel workers. And the workers, even the workers, were afraid that we might lose our job that way because my boss cannot pay that because you cannot fill up the room enough. The capacity of the room, occupation of the room cannot be filled more enough to pay that kind of increase. So they are literally talking about, I'm the government, I have to say, I have a mouth, I have a decision, I have a job, I have to make it into laws, whatever, let's do it. And then without thinking about the economy, right? So now, in the same case though, the government says we have surplus and let's let you have it without thinking about how Jack Chow and Ben Lee will think about it. So let's take a moment. We'll be right back, please.